Hi, it's Dan again with D&D Thorough Home Inspections. And today, since it's getting a little warmer out and everybody's getting ready to fire up those air conditioners, I want to talk to you about something that could possibly save you a major expense down the road. And that is the proper sizing of breakers and wires for your air conditioner. So, let's just say it's a real hot day outside and your air conditioner's working overtime to try and keep that house cool. Well, you'd much rather that breaker trip and you go a couple hours without air conditioning rather than that unit burn up and then you have a whole unit to replace, and that downtime you have no air conditioning. So we'll take a look at the tag around the back and I'll explain. Now, somewhere on your unit, you should see a tag like this, and here in a second I'll pull up a picture of it, but it'll have all the information you need on it. It'll have the minimum fuse or breaker rating, and it'll also have the ampacity. So, looking at this tag here, we can see that the minimum ampacity is 14.7. Now, there are no 14.7 breakers, so we would go ahead and go up to a 15 amp breaker. Looking at the other side of the tag there, we can see that the maximum breaker size rated for this air conditioning unit is 25. So when we go and open up the electrical panel and look at the breaker for the air conditioning, we don't want to see anything bigger than a 25 amp breaker. Again, it'd be much more convenient for that breaker to trip, saving that air conditioning unit from overheating, than that air conditioning unit burning up because the breaker's too big. Now, I know I mentioned two different sizes, the minimum ampacity as 15 and the maximum breaker size as 25. I don't want to confuse anybody with this. What the ampacity is a calculated value that specifies the minimum main power wire size. So simplifying that, it's just stating what the smallest size wire that we're able to use for that unit is. So again, we would look at that and we would go up to 15, and we would look at this chart here, and that would tell us what size wire we need to use for this unit. So this is where your central air units differ from any other electrical circuit in your house. Let's say you had a 15 amp outlet. Well, looking at this chart here, you would need 14 gauge wire for that. Let's say you had a 20 amp outlet. You would need 12 gauge wire for that. And so on and so forth with any other electrical circuit in the house. Your central air units are the only thing that does not abide by this chart. They go simply off of the tag on the unit. So looking back at that again, our minimum ampacity is going to be 15. So looking at the chart, we would see that that requires a 14 gauge wire. Going back to the maximum breaker size is 25. That actually requires, according to the chart, a 10 gauge wire. But again, we are able to use a 14 gauge wire for that. These are the only times that you're able to use a smaller size wire on a bigger breaker. Only for your central air units. So that's kind of a quick rundown on the proper sizing for your air conditioning units. Hopefully you guys learned something or at least enjoyed the video. If you guys could, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. It helps us out tremendously. Thanks. Have a great day.